Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome. We made it. It's Friday. It's a holiday weekend. I know you're gearing up, but welcome to No Bullshipping with Hope White. Today's episode and guest is going to be off the charts. I'm so excited to have this guest because, as we know, in supply chain and logistics, there has been a need for more suppliers and more capacity. And several companies have stepped up and taken initiative to fill those gaps with diverse suppliers. So today's guest is none other than Yolanda Pierson of Supplier Diversity for the Anderson Company. And we're going to discuss today what some of those qualifications are, what's required, and what do some of those companies look for when sourcing diverse suppliers. So this is going to be, like I said, a phenomenal show. I really want you guys to chime in the comment section and ask whatever questions you have, because this is a really good opportunity just to understand what is needed to come to the table as a diverse supplier. So I don't want to hold up everyone. I want to go ahead and bring the guest on because I really want to dive into this conversation. So everyone, welcome. Bring the guest on. Yolanda Pierson of the Anderson Company. So Yolanda, welcome. Bring the guest on. Yolanda Pierson of the Anderson Company.
Good morning, Hope.
Bring the guest on. Yolanda Pierson.
Good morning, Hope.
I think we got a little feedback there, Yolanda, coming from the background, not for certain words come from there, but we had a little feedback. So yeah, if you definitely can mute in between, it will keep us from having that feedback. Let's get Yolanda's sound check there just a little bit, and then we'll bring her back on. We had a little bit of a feedback there, but I see some of the guests already checking in. So while we get Yolanda's audio there together, I'm going to tell Miss Sarah Barnes-Humphrey, good morning, Sarah. Happy Friday. We have Tempest out of Frisco, Texas. Hi, Tempest. Welcome to the show. We have Rob. What's up, Rob? We got a 3-day weekend. It's on. You coming out of San Diego. I know you're going to have a really good time over there in San Diego. I wish I were there with you to get some of that beautiful sunshine. Okay? So while we get Yolanda's audio there together, I've been in supply chain and logistics as an asset-based trucking company now for just over 2 years. And previously, I was a freight broker. And one of the opportunities for me to be able to get some of the business that we have been able to obtain at HD White Logistics was through Supplier Diversity. Supplier Diversity is a department within some of the corporations that allow for diverse spend, allow for minority, diverse suppliers to come to the table and have some of the same opportunities as the larger counterparts and competitors. Organizations such as WeBank and National Minority Supplier Diversity Council provide those diverse certifications to get you in the door. So our guest, Yolanda, again, we're doing audio check with her right now just to make sure everything's good. She's going to talk about some of those certifications. At HD White Logistics, our certifications, which we're certified minority business enterprise through National Minority Supplier Diversity Council and WeBank, Women Business Enterprise and Women-Owned Small Business, allowed us to be able to get those opportunities fairly quickly. So, Nicole, is Yolanda ready now? Can we bring her back up and see if we good to go? Let's see. Okay, so her audio went completely out, so we'll give her a minute to log back in and get back into the show. All right, so I'm going to go through the certification process really quickly while Yolanda gets back in. So the first certification we'll talk about today is National Minority Supply Diversity Council certifies you MBE, Minority Business Enterprise. It's an extensive process that basically certifies you as a minority. You must be 51% minority ownership in your business, and you must be deemed a minority. And there are a range of requirements there. You can find that information on their website at nmsdc.org. Okay. The process is about 4 months, 120 days. They do ask for quite a bit of information, but it is well worth it. NMSDC partners with larger corporations such as Delta, Coca-Cola, Walmart, Lowe's, UPS, and the list goes on to ensure that minority suppliers have those same opportunities. The next certification we bank certification process is like and similar in nature. There is about a 4-month process to get certified. It takes you through a rigorous certification process, but it is well worth it. Well, we got Yolanda back, so I can stop talking now. So Yolanda,
Hello.
what you got going on with the audio over there?
I have no idea what happened, but it started to duplicate and then it took me offline. I had to reboot, so I'm back now. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. So let me introduce you again. Everyone, this is Yolanda Pierson of the Anderson Company, and she's with Supplier Diversity. So Yolanda, could you go further about who you are, what it is you do, and how long have you been in Supplier Diversity?
Yeah, so I've been in Supplier Diversity for the past 20 years at various companies. Currently, I'm at Anderson Corporation. I was able to go to Anderson last year and start a brand new Supplier Diversity program. So that's a really exciting opportunity to help the organization learn about supplier diversity and share my expertise and my knowledge with the organization.
Absolutely, absolutely. So within Supplier Diversity, with you, are there any special areas that you look for minority or diverse suppliers, or are you just kind of all inclusive, whatever services or businesses that are out there?
So one of our goals is really to integrate supplier diversity at all levels of our organization. I like to tell people to follow the dollars. So whoever's spending money within the company, that's who I try to look for as partners to really either promote diverse suppliers or understand the current suppliers that they're using. Also understand the challenges that they have. Because I think one of the great ways that supplier diversity can really show up and be highlighted is when you're able to solve a problem for the business.
Yeah, that's big. I always tell my mentees within Logistically Speaking Online, shameless plug there, that you need to come to the table ready to solve the problem for the client, not the other way around. So that's really big that you call that out. Since you being in Supplier Diversity, what changes have you seen within the last 6 months?
The last 6 months, I think things have started to settle out. I would say over the past 2 years, supplier diversity has catapulted. I think a lot of organizations are thinking about the diversity within their supply chain. If you think historically about DEI, it's been really focused on employees and HR. Over the past few years, it's really been pushed within the supply chain. And so that's catapulted supply diversity opportunities for our supply chain, for the communities. And so I think a lot of organizations are really focused on how do they grow their supply chain and how do they diversify their supply chain. I think they've, over the past 6 months specifically, it's really helped a lot of companies through supply chain challenges. When you think about what's the greatest impact on corporations today, it's the supply chain challenges that we consistently face.
Absolutely. I have some Christmas gifts still in the back of my vehicle, so I'm going to blame that on the supply chain challenges that we had. One off there. Yeah. So with some of those challenges, you talked about the capacity and some of the staffing and things of that nature. With supplier diversity, stepping up, providing those opportunities for those suppliers, how do you get those opportunities? How can I get in? How do I get to the door?
I think it's about building relationships and really preparing your company for the opportunities when they come. I think, I can't overstress about how important it is to really take advantage of this opportunity for your company. Yeah. When I say take advantage, that means highlight and show up as a subject matter expertise. Yeah. I think procurement managers, they don't know everything, especially about the industry. And so one of the best ways to build relationships while networking is that you're their go-to for, all things within your industry, within your niche. And so I think, highlight those things. I had a supplier come to me about 6 months ago and started talking about chassis shortages. I was telling the transportation team and they were like, who did you get that from? So they wanted to meet that person. And so because he continued to network and share things with me, he was able to have the meetings because he had industry knowledge. And I think, as a small company, the most important thing you have is your intellectual property and your ability to know what's going on, boots on the ground.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that has probably been one of the most pivotal items for me as a diverse supplier is having that knowledge and really understanding my business and knowing my business before I actually get to the table. So you're exactly right. I want to kind of give a one-off question here. I told you to be prepared for it. So, with coming to the table for diverse suppliers, should I just pick up the phone? Do I need to email? Do I need to call? Like when you're saying build the relationships, a lot of diverse suppliers really struggle to understand what that means for corporations. Can you expound on that?
Yeah, so when I talk about build a relationship, I'm talking about core foundations of the relationship.
Mhm.
Don't just pick up the phone blindly and start talking about your company. You really
Yes.
have to set yourself up for those type of things. So, introductions are always good.
Mhm.
Networking opportunities. Hope you mentioned about WeBank and NMSDC.
Yeah.
Use those opportunities to meet people,
Mhm.
and then as you're meeting them, start to talk about your business, start to talk about your industry, your specialties, your niche, and
Yeah.
that's how you kind of organically create the relationship. Once you started the relationship, then I think the next thing you could do is kind of keep that cadence going, communication,
Yeah.
monthly, quarterly communications. Sometimes it's not even about selling your business, more so telling a corporation what you're doing, who you're working with.
Yeah.
Sometimes that goes a long way versus just a blind email about your capabilities or your capacity statements. Talk about things that you've worked on within that industry.
Yeah.
Everyone likes to hear, you're doing a project with X company, or you just got signed up with Anderson Corporation. All
Yeah.
those things speaks to the level of engagement that your company has, the level of expertise that you have, kind of your ducks in a row if you've already bagged one customer or one client. So that's really important to think about when you're doing networking.
Absolutely. I'm gonna put in a layman's term, pop your collar as much as you possibly can
Absolutely.
when you come to the door with your companies. That is well said. I couldn't have said it any better. At HD White Logistics, we really pride ourselves on streamlining our relationships from one customer to another. And you just called that out, that doing business with other customers that possibly can get you into with you or with other companies. Is that correct? Like from customer to
Absolutely.
customer? Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think you can also ask your customers, do they have other opportunities for you within their organization,
Yeah.
or if they know about other opportunities at another organization. I think about my network is vast, so I talk to
Yeah.
supplier diversity professionals at other
Yeah.
corporations. We're in the same
Yeah.
circles, we're in the
Yeah.
same networking
Yeah.
events and meetings, and
Yeah.
so we share supply information. So if
Yeah.
you have a great supplier, you're going to always highlight that supplier. So that's
Absolutely.
where it's important for you to show up and show out.
Yeah.
Really, I don't care how small the job is, show up like it's a big job, because you never know
Absolutely.
who you may see and who's there to see that opportunity
Yeah.
that you just shined in.
Absolutely. So you touched on some of the top five things that a supplier needs. So you said communication, build a relationship. Do you have any others that you want to add that maybe a diverse supplier needs coming to the door?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important when you think about your financial viability, and showcase how you continue to invest in your organization. So around technologies, processes, people, you may be a small, but you're a mighty team. And sometimes as an entrepreneur, it's also important to highlight what you did before you started the business, because
Yeah,
that gives you the longevity of being that subject matter expertise.
absolutely.
Really focus on the range of services or products that you're able to provide that meet the business needs. We
Yeah.
talked about solving a problem. That's
Mhm.
really where you show up at, kind of showing the range products or services that your company is able to solve problems that they may have.
Absolutely. So I want to engage everyone here because this is a big conversation across, I know, supply chain and logistics and other industries. So I want to engage our audience here because we have quite a few listeners. So we have Rhonda checking in with us from Texas. Hey, Miss Rhonda, how you doing? Good morning. Rob says, Yolanda, great point. You have to let people know, you have to be their own advocate. If you have any questions for Yolanda for supplier diversity, you're a diverse supplier, you've been trying to get in, no one's responding. This is probably your opportunity to have a question for Yolanda here, and maybe she can get that answered for you. Yolanda, I touched on a few resources that are out there for diverse suppliers, such as WeBank or National Minority Supply and Diversity Council. Do you have any other recommendations for suppliers to utilize to be able to, in their quest for growth?
Yeah, I think tap into your local resources, any type of economic
Yes.
development organizations that are out there, any type of nonprofits that focus on entrepreneurship. In the transportation industry specifically, focus on your local Department of Transportation. They'll be a plethora of resources for you. Some of them also have certifications that are at no cost for you. And so then it helps prepare you, and they'll walk you through a little bit better than WeBank or NMSDC about all the documents that you need. Or they may partner with a nonprofit that offers that service to you at no cost. So there are things that you should be doing locally as well as regionally about where you're operating your business and nationally.
Right. Absolutely. So I get a lot of my mentees at Logistically Speaking online. Shameless plug again. That focus on what they don't have. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough staff. I don't have enough assets. Would you say it would be okay for them to focus on what they do have if they still want an opportunity with companies?
Absolutely. I think highlight what you do have while you're working on what you don't have. I think when you talk about financial, access, I think that's where it's really great to develop banking partners. You should not do all your banking online as an entrepreneur. You should have a first name basis, someone who you can call to talk about different things that your bank may need. That you may need for your business with your banker. Talk about, lines of credit. Credit cards, talk about access to capital that you may need. And then if that bank can't help you, maybe they know someone in the industry who can. So it's all about building those relationships to think about your financial trajectory and really think about what your business scope is. Scope out your business. This year, this is what I need from a financial scope. Next year, here's what I need. If I plan to grow in 5 years, here's what I need. And this is where it's important as entrepreneurs and especially solopreneurs that you get your paperwork in line. I met a lot of companies over the past 2 years who were not able to take advantage of some of the opportunities that were out there because they did not have their paperwork right. Okay. They didn't file their taxes. They didn't have a business plan. They didn't have a business bank account. Those things are imperative to the success of your business. And when you think about going to a corporation, a lot of these large corporations, they have terms of net 60. Can you sustain this contract once you have it? And so I think you have to really think about those things when you're approaching corporations. I'm very passionate about this. I'll just, hey, what do you have your things together? Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, we think, hey, I'm a Black owned business. You guys want to do business with a Black owned business, but you still have to show up for those opportunities. Being diverse and having a supplier diversity program is not your only key entry into the organization.
Yes, you must be prepared. Oh, you hit a button there. Cash flow for minority diverse suppliers is probably one of our biggest items. It's no secret for anybody the challenges that we face over here on this side of the fence. And so definitely understanding your numbers and where you fit inside of those corporations is very important before you actually step to the door. We got some great comments coming in here. We got Jay Ford that says, great conversation. We appreciate this convo. Hey, good morning, Bernice. How you doing? Tempest says, you are preaching right now. Cassandra out of New Jersey says, great info. Siva Brown says, thank you so much, Yolanda, for the great information. We have a question that has come in from Sarah. She says, what do supply diversity budgets look like? And how do we tap into those funds successfully? Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so supply diversity budgets are typically very minimum. So when you think about the budget that we have within supplier diversity, it's really low funds to advocate. Our business partners have the funding, right? So if you think about my transportation team, they have the money. I have to go to them and get their support. I think what the real true benefit of supplier diversity professionals is to help the organization understand what are things that are holding you back, right? So how can our organization do things better to make access easier for a small company to do business with us? So I'll just share a couple things with you that we've been successfully able to do at Anderson over the last year. So one of the things that if you think about, we have a lot of brokers, right? So they're not asset based. So we think about our small diverse suppliers that they should be asset based, and so that we can work with them. We've leveraged programs like Seneca through US Bank for freight payments, fuel through Breakthrough, tracking through Four Kites and EDI. So those are things that supplier diversity tries to promote. If you think about 3 years ago, you had to have $500,000 worth of cargo liability insurance. Now we have a program that you only need to have $150,000 worth of cargo liability insurance based on how many vehicles you own, based on how many lanes you've bidded for. And so I think that's the real value of supplier diversity, is really helping the organization to understand how can we better pay our small companies. They don't have to wait 60, 90 days.
Absolutely.
So I think creating those type of things is where value add comes from supplier diversity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In addition to some of those value added programs, it has been my experience that some of the corporations are even instilling mentoring programs where it's an 8 to 12 week or even possibly 6-month program that they bring on diverse suppliers to basically groom you for what's needed to be able to be a great partner to them. Have you heard of some of those programs and
absolutely.
success rate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are great programs. So if you get an opportunity to get into mentorship programs, I would say take full advantage of those. What that gives you is that gives you access to C-level suite executives to be able to groom you for your business so that you're not just saying you're a CEO, you're moving as a CEO, you're acting as a CEO, and you're aligning yourself how large corporations are aligned with structure. And so those programs are really good and beneficial because you're also have access to treasury and controllers and to other financial means and helping you navigate through your finances.
Absolutely. I'm going to pivot here just a little bit because I feel like this question definitely needs to be touched. If I'm a diverse supplier coming to the door, how likely is it that you as a corporation is going to look me up and find me and find out exactly what I'm doing? What do I need to look like in the internet?
You need to have a real internet presence. I would say at basic minimum, have a website, kind of minimum, have a website. They will look up your website. They will do a DNB health screening on you. I think some people don't understand the value of those things. But from a corporation, they have to look at your financial trajectory. And it's not necessarily how much money you've made, but it's whether you've sustained over the past couple of years and how you have paid your bills, how you have showed up for other companies. Do you have a good rating for Better Business Bureau? Those are things that they'll look at the basic minimum of your organization.
Oh, thank you so much for hitting that website, because I get so many mentees that, just don't have that website, or they have shell of websites where it basically looks like a whole nother company from what they're presenting to me. And so it's very important that you understand, as a diverse supplier, you need to be organic so that the customer can see you for who you are and know who the business partner they're getting ready to do business with. So I appreciate you for that statement.
You know what? I think in the past, a lot of organizations whitewashed their websites and online presence, right?
Yes.
And so I think now we've come to an age where you don't have to do that anymore, right?
Yes.
People want to see how you're showing up authentically within your business. So if you have a trucking company, your website should tell me as soon as I log in that you're a trucking company. I should be able to see right away what your specialty or your niche is.
Yes.
I need to understand if you're doing drayage, you're doing over the road, you're doing regional. I need to understand that as soon as I hit your website. So whatever your niche is, that should be on your homepage of your website. You can have other services out there about what you're doing, but you should really have your niche, your specialty, that should be out there. You should have an about page that talks about you, your individual journey through the entrepreneurship, what you did before you started your organization. This is where you highlight your expertise right there.
Oh God, drop the mic. Just drop the mic. It's over. Show is over. Like, thank you so much, Yolanda, for basically keeping it real and really hitting home the ability to be authentic when you come to the door as a supplier. They want to do business with you. So thank you so much for that. We have someone in the comments asking, what's the website again? I'm wondering if you're talking about logistically speaking.online. Shameless plug. So that's the website there. I want to ask you really quickly, because we have about 6 minutes left. Partnering with WeBank and National Minority Supplier Diversity Council, how does Anderson Company utilize those certified diverse suppliers in their network? How do they get to that information?
Yeah, so from a corporation standpoint, they all have a database, right? So I can search for you by your NEX codes. Make sure your NEX codes are aligned with what you do. NEX codes are general and broad, but make sure they at least capture the core of your business.
Yeah.
There's net code searches, there are products and services searches. And sometimes when someone asks me about a service, I go right to their database to look through the suppliers, see if I recognize any names. Because sometimes I may know your company, but I may not necessarily know exactly what you do, right?
Yes.
So I use those databases for that. Our teams, our procurement teams who've heavily plugged in, they use those, right? And so you want to make sure you use those opportunities for networking.
Yes.
Think about the benefit of certification is to let a corporation know that you've been vetted, right? So that you own this company. I don't have to check to see if HD White Logistics is woman owned. When I look through WeBank's database and I see them, I understand that they've gone through this rigorous process to validate that they're women owned. And so as a corporation, that's one less thing that we have to check about an organization.
Yes.
I think another thing when you think about networking, you're able to be with like-minded individuals. There's groups, there's sessions that you can join with other individuals who's in your same market. That can help you leverage pricing to making sure that you're competitive. That can help you leverage how this other company looks. How should I look? And so you'll see a range of beginning entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs who've been in the business 20 years, right? And those are the relationships you want to build, right? Because they may have projects that they can't take, and because they know you, they may give them to you. So there's several different ways you can leverage those. You can leverage those kind of WBE to WBE or MBE to MBE, as well as corporations. Don't minimize the small projects that come from another MBE or WBE. That's how you build your portfolio. And it's really all about business. So I think everybody goes for the big fish, right? Everybody wants Walmart, Target.
The customers in the lights. That's what I call them, in the lights. Everybody wants
those. But what you want is a PO from any company, right? You want to grow your business. So, you can get a PO from HD White Logistics. She may be working with Home Depot. Maybe you're not ready to scale to that level yet. So you have to start at the level that you're at to grow your business.
I can't even talk. So all of my classes at Logistically Speaking, I mean, it's just insane. We have a fire question over here. This is another question that I get from my mentees and consultants, consults in reference to. So Sarah says, so many questions, payment terms and length of contract can be a deal breaker for many diverse suppliers. How do we navigate that conversation? Or do most have that top of mind?
Some of them have it top of mind. Some of them don't. You need to ask the question. If they don't bring up the question, you ask. If you don't ask, you will automatically be defaulted to whatever their standard payment terms is. Most of the time, it's next 60 or it's net 120, right? So you can't wait 4 months for your payments. So as you're talking through the contracts, after you've gotten the bid successfully won, that's the time to talk about contractual obligations. How they want to pay you, how you need to be paid. And that's where the negotiation piece comes in. I think everything is up for negotiation. And a lot of procurement people don't want to do it, right? It's processes. So they may say, oh, we don't normally do that. So then you approach that, well, I would love it if I can have an opportunity to talk about what the other payment terms could be potential. And so that's where you talk about, for my organization, I need net 30. But you also need to understand what net 30 means for a corporation. It doesn't mean 30 days from that invoice date. It means 30 days from when that person processed your invoice, right? So that may be 60 days. So you have to think about that when you're talking about these payment terms, right? Because I hear people thinking, oh, I'm going to be paid in 60 days. I can wait. I don't need to negotiate that. You should wait. If it says net 60, you're more than likely going to be paid in 90 days. Net 30, you're more than likely going to be paid in 60 days. So you have to think about how long can you sustain this business continuously flowing without that payment. And then you want to make sure that it's top of the mind that I am a smaller organization and that cash flow is important to me so that I can show up for you how I need to show up. And trust me, it's large corporations that have conversations about payment terms.
Yes.
And it's also up to you to make sure they've processed your invoice. So make sure that you're saying, hey, did you put my invoice in? And, and because they won't check that for you.
Yes.
So that's where you have to either partner with someone who's able to do it or be able to do that for your own organization.
Thank you, Yolanda, for allowing that to be a statement that you made. A lot of small diverse suppliers, even myself, for years didn't even know that we could even negotiate our contract, that it was even an option to have different payment terms from what the customer was offering, because we're so focused on getting the opportunity that we don't realize that we may be putting ourselves in a worse situation, not being able to set our own terms there. So thank you so much for clarifying that. I think that was phenomenal. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. One last thing about that negotiating your contracts. This is where you leverage your relationships with either the nonprofits, WeBank, NMSDC. Have an attorney review these contracts. Yes. Don't get so excited about a contract that you sign it and you don't fully understand it.
Yes.
You should always have an attorney look at these contracts, because corporations, they have huge legal teams, right? And so these contracts are meant to protect them, not to protect you.
Exactly.
So you can always red line them. You can say, this doesn't work for me. So don't be afraid to negotiate all terms that's really suitable for you, and make sure you have an attorney, because they have a team of attorneys.
Yes, so they have a whole full legal team. That's right. So drop your last few questions or comments in here. Yolanda, while we're wrapping up here, if I want to find you, now I don't want you all in your dating Yolanda, because some of you are not ready. Don't go blowing Yolanda up if you're not ready, if you're not business ready, okay? But how can I find you if I just want to have a small conversation, or if I think that I'm ready to do business with the Anderson Company?
Yeah, so unlike Hope, I'm really okay with giving out my email address and contacting me, and I'll let you know if you're not ready. So you guys can email me at yolanda.pierson@andersoncorp.com, or you can reach me on all social media platforms at YC Pierson, PIERSON. So I think really one of the things I like to say is that I'm a catalyst for really advocating for diverse suppliers, and so I'm really passionate about it. And so that passion really can hinder my own ability to get everything that I like to get done. But if you're ready to do business right now, we're actively looking for transportation suppliers. That's one of our largest industry-wide challenges right now. And I think, understanding what those challenges are will be really beneficial for you. We're a doors and window manufacturer. We have 11 distribution centers throughout the US and one in Canada.
Okay. And which truck, so with those services for transportation, is it flatbed? Is it dry vans I should have? What type of equipment should I come to the door with?
We're looking for both flatbed and dry van. We're really looking for asset-based suppliers. So we're looking
Can you explain that?
Asset-based, meaning that you have your own truck and trailers, right? You own the equipment. And so we're really heavily looking for asset-based suppliers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Yolanda. Lady K over in the comments says mentoring is always a great idea. Absolutely. At logisticallyspeaking.online, you'll find that mentorship. Yolanda, we are so grateful to you today and all of the information that you bestowed upon us. Thank you so much for coming on No Bullshipping with Hope White.
Thank you. Thank you for having me anytime. And, I wish you all luck. And Hope is phenomenal. If you're looking for a mentor, Hope would be that mentor for you. I call Hope for so many things all the time when I'm looking for suppliers, even in my area. So, I would highly suggest Hope as a mentor for you if you're looking for a mentor in transportation.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. We appreciate you. Have a good day.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Awesome. Woo! That show right there was on fire. Okay, Yolanda, phenomenal guest. You gave out so many tips So many resources. If you are a diverse supplier and you're looking to do business with some of the larger corporations, and you should have been able to be prepared. Now, there is no way you shouldn't be ready to go to the door. Today's show is sponsored by HD White Logistics, produced by Let's Talk Supply Chain. I want to personally thank Sarah Barnes Humphrey and the Let's Talk Supply Chain team for giving us an opportunity and a platform to have that show, because it is a much needed conversation. All right. So check us out at hdwhitelogistics.com. I want you all to take care and stay safe on this holiday weekend. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.